All of you are familiar with the practice of courtroom proceedings being sketched by an artist, right? This practice has been continuing since late 17th century when it started during the Salem witch trials. That was when groups of moronical and dangerous men accused several women of witchcraft, probably because those women were smarter than these men. 16 women were hanged then. I'm sharing this just as an aside because I wanted to throw light on one of the darkest periods of man-woman relationship in history. Anyway, coming back to drawings in courtrooms, this practice became popular because there was no way to visually record a legal proceeding or a legal battle in those days. And this practice continues even today, despite cameras being allowed in several courtrooms. At the same time, there are quite a few courtrooms across the world, including many in India, and the Supreme Court, the Federal Supreme Court of the United States, where cameras are either restricted or totally banned. So this begs the question, why should cameras not be allowed inside courtrooms in these modern times? Well, that's because cameras can be distracting, and quite a few judges and lawyers have been found to play to the camera than to focus on legal procedure. Many witnesses feel intimidated by the presence of a camera, and most jurors refuse to be caught on camera, especially if they are sitting on a trial where the accused is a violent person, has a violent past. Now that's perfectly understandable, right? And most importantly, sensitive cases where children and celebrities are involved, it could turn into a media circus with the presence of cameras. So those are the reasons why cameras are restricted in courtrooms even in these modern times. Now arises another question based on this. So why is this practice of drawing inside courtrooms continuing even when cameras are already recording the session? Well, there are three reasons for that. The first is tradition. The second is the artistic value of the picture. And third, sometimes the mood of the courtroom is captured by the deftness of the artist's wrist than the finger of the photographer. I mean, when we talk about art, what automatically comes into our mind are those auction houses and those steep prices that paintings fetch when they're auctioned in these auction houses. But I don't think courtroom art has ever commanded those kind of jaw-dropping figures. Though I'm told a couple of sketches made during the Mike Tyson trial were sold for $25,000. One famous sketch that comes to my mind and is still fresh in my mind because it was very recent and it depicted one of the most powerful men in the world standing in the witness box with a judge sternly glaring down at him. That was Donald Trump in the hush money criminal trial at a Manhattan courtroom in 2024. The artist who drew that is Jane Rosenberg, and she was commissioned by Associated Press, but I have no clue what kind of money changed hands between them. But I can state this with certainty. Any picture, whether shot or drawn, will always be worth at least 1,000 words.